You see, there's a very big difference between real leaders and fake influencers. And how do I know? Well, I got scammed. I got scammed by a trucking company. I got scammed by a high ticket consultant. I've been in rooms and watched other people get scammed. I watched a wealth coach named, well, I'm not going to say his name, but I will say I watched him tell somebody to pull money out of their 401k to buy their program, even though he's not a licensed financial advisor. And here's what they all had in common. They all said this one line: I don't care if you buy or not. But the moment the event was over, the moment the seminar was over, the phone call was over, the masterclass was over, the challenge was over, they followed up and they followed up and they followed up and they followed. But I thought you said you didn't care if I bought or not. Listen, there's so many flags. And I'm going to say this, right? I'm not going to blame anybody for anything outside of myself, because real leaders take accountability. And I'm just going to take accountability for the mistakes that I made. And I'm going to tell you the mistakes I made so you don't make the same mistakes going forward. Because what am I going to do? Blame everybody else that's doing the wrong thing? No, God's going to take care of them. God will take care of them. They have to live with themselves, especially the ones that are preaching the Bible but not practicing what they're preaching. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But what I want to do is tell you right now the 3 simple steps and 3 simple things that you could look for, that you could see that somebody's doing, and you'll know exactly how not to get scammed in 2026. Because I love what John Maxwell said. He said, a leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be, in an ethical way. And here's the real problem, right? We're all programmed. I mean, we're literally buying programs to people that are going to tell you to sell a program to somebody else that wants to buy a program. Like God has a course for your life. And if you buy their course, it's probably going to take you off your course. Now, listen, I'm talking to myself right here. For many years, I kind of looked up to people that were generating revenue and that were making money and that had just this enthusiasm about themselves and great communication skills and this belief system that was unmatched, to be able to allow me to believe that what they had to give me would change my life. But here's the thing. There's nothing external that can change in your life until you change the internal. There's nothing out here that's going to change in your life until you change what's in here. And you're being programmed. Let me give you an example, right? Like there's a story that came out of a book that I read a while back. And there was this woman, right? And she was actually preparing dinner for her family, all right? And her husband was looking at her and said, "Hey, why are you cutting the ends off of the ham before you cook it? I mean, I notice you do that quite often. Why are you cutting the ends off the ham before you cook it?" And she said, "Well, I watched my mom do that." So he said, "You know what? I'm going to call your mom." So he went ahead and he called her mom and said, "Hey, I got a question for you. You know, why did you cut the ends off of the ham every time you cooked it for your family? Because your daughter here, my wife, is doing the same thing, and I'd like to know." So she said, "I watched my mom do it," which was his wife's grandmother, generation to generation to generation. But the good news is this: the grandmother is still alive. So let's give her a call. So he calls his wife's grandmother and he says, "Hey, so my wife cuts the ends off of the ham every time she puts it in the oven. And she said she does that because her mom did that. So I called her mom, which is your daughter, and she said the same thing, that she watched you do it. So what is the reason why you cut the ham? What is the reason why you cut the ham off every time you cooked it?" And she said, "Well, the pan that I had wasn't big enough." the pan I had wasn't big enough. I don't know if you guys can catch that. Does that make sense to you? Like, they're doing the same thing that their mothers did without questioning why they're doing it. They're just doing it over and over and over again. And that's what's happening right now in society. Followers are following followers in a circle over and over and over and over again. I just got right into the message because I got some feedback last week and the week before that my intros are way too long, but I am going to say welcome to the Perspective Pause, which this is a live stream we do every single Wednesday morning. And my name is Francesco Franzese. Some people call me Chesco. Some people call me Let's Go Chesco. I'm a courageous, enthusiastic man of God that takes intentional action with the gifts that I was given. And I just want to say what's up to everybody here in the chat this morning. And all I would say is that if you're not following the channel, please follow the channel. This is going to allow more people to get awareness. And that's the number one thing that we lack in this society is awareness. Because I want to tell you something. You don't need a new program. You don't need a new course. You don't need anything else right now. What you need is a new lens. And in this video, I'm actually going to kind of go over the 3 steps to make sure that anything that you get involved in, if you're being led somewhere, that you can find out whether you're being led by a real leader or a fake influencer, because there's so many of them out here. And I'm going to give you 3 steps that's going to help you out. So let's get into it, right? So the first thing is being programmed, right? Is that Rockefeller said it best, right? He said, we need to create a society of workers, not thinkers. Because if people think, they're going to question things. And if people question things, they're not going to follow the program. We are programmed, y'all. We are being programmed. And there's people that are actually selling you a program to sell the same program, but didn't do anything else to see success in their life, but actually teach you how to sell a program. And they program you very young to follow, not to think. And to buy what they're selling without even a moment to blink. Come on now, I'm serious, right? Ever since we're little, it's marketing. It's getting people to persuade you to buy what it is in the marketplace. And the more that I learn about business, I'm realizing that not all business owners are unethical, but the majority of them are. This may be something that people don't really want to agree with, but the more that you become aware to, and the more that you see how to communicate well, how to get people to do things that you want them to do, how to get people that have a problem to be able to sell them something, you know, even when they were on the fence of not knowing if they wanted to do it or not, you could start to really realize that you play a major role in getting people to pay you. It's not difficult, right? It's just practice. It's just practice, right? And I want to ask you a couple of questions here and see how vulnerable you are right now, right? Because there's 2 different lenses that I'm going to talk about through this video also. I'm going to talk about a follower lens, and then I'm also going to talk about a fruit lens. And one of the symptoms of you possibly having this follower lens or being really vulnerable right now in this stage is that you trust people based on their follower count. If you see somebody that has 1 million followers, you automatically feel like they have 1 million results. Right? You don't ask for client results. You don't ask to see the fruit, right? And when they say something like, I don't care if you buy, you believe them. You truly believe them. As if it's not out of one of these books that are been used for many years to understand how to sell better. I mean, if you don't think that you can get better at sales by understanding how to persuade people through communication, then you're probably being persuaded. So when somebody says, I don't care if you buy, and you believe them, then you may want to start questioning some things. Another symptom of you being really vulnerable and having this follower lens would be that you never questioned if they're licensed or qualified to even provide the services that they're providing. And why do we fall for it? Well, here's some research, right? I love talking about research, right? Here is some research for you. And so the 5 monkeys research, right? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this. What's up, Orlando? What's up, Shelly? What's up, y'all? I see y'all in the chat. Let's go. Drop some rockets in the chat if you guys are getting some value from this already. Man, good to see you guys on here live today. When you say followers following followers, reminds me of the worm starving to death circling the rim of a cup full of food. Man, that's so good. I'm going to actually talk about something like that. I just made a short video. One of my recent shorts talks about the caterpillars. I'm going to get into that. Let's go, Shelly. We're on the same page. So let's get back to this, right? So when it comes to research, right, there's research that was done. It's called the 5 monkeys. And the research said that new monkeys wouldn't grab bananas because old monkeys stopped them. Nobody knew why anymore. Now, what happened was every single time the monkey went to go ahead and grab a banana, they would spray him with water. Right? They would spray him with water. And so he would jump back. And it happened about 5 times. And so what ended up happening was the monkeys would actually say, we're not going to go for the bananas anymore because we keep getting sprayed with the water. Well, after they brought in new monkeys to see what would happen, what was really interesting is that the monkeys that got sprayed in the face with the water, they stopped the other ones and prevented them from getting sprayed in the face also, because they felt like that was going to happen again. And what's interesting is that you follow influencers because everybody else does, but you never check their fruit. And John Maxwell says something that's so powerful, right? And I've been reading a lot of his books lately. I'm really starting to dive deep into his just leadership trainings, and it's incredible. He says this, right? John Maxwell said that we've always done it this way. Like when we say that, right? Well, we've always done it this way. We've always done it this way. Like we've always done it this way. That's the most dangerous phrase in business. The most dangerous phrase in business is saying we've always done it this way. Because one of my favorite quotes out of my book, that'll be released this year, is it's not what you don't know that holds you back. It's what you do know that you hold on to that's not a fact. I'll say that again for the people in the back. Come on now. It's not what you don't know that holds you back. It's what you do know that you hold on to that's not a fact. So let's get into research number 2. And this is Shelly, this is what I was talking about, right? The processional caterpillar study, right? And so they took about 7 caterpillars and they allowed them to walk around the rim of a pot. And there was a plant inside, right? That the caterpillars could go down and eat if they were, if they would just get out of line. But they kept circling and circling the rim of the pot without going down inside of the pot to eat the food, because the instinct that they had to follow the crowd was greater than doing something different to save their life. Let that sit for a minute. I said the instinct to follow the crowd was far greater for them to do something different to save their life. And you're following people who are following people, and nobody knows where they're going. I'll never forget, Earl Nightingale talked about that. I think it was in The Strangest Secret. And it was, he talked about followers are just following followers. There's nobody leading. And it's like, you can't get to a destination if you're not starting to think for yourself about how to get to the destination. If you're allowing somebody else to think for you. Because that's what people do. If they want to get something out of you, they're going to teach you how to think. Or not, they're going to teach you how to, they're going to teach you what to think. That's the problem. They teach you what to think, not how to think, right? So I would say that round and round the followers go, chasing leaders who just don't know. That's what I would say. Come on now. So research number 3, there was a bunch of people that were given the wrong answer to something, right? And when they were given the wrong answer to something, people that had the right answer, it showed that there was more of a percentage of people with the wrong answer. So the people that had the right answer, they came into this classroom, right? They ended up actually questioning themselves. So they started questioning the thing that they knew was true because the majority was actually doing something wrong. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where they have, like on social media, where they show the studies of where it's like a whole bunch of people sitting in a room, and then as soon as somebody like a sound goes off, they have one person stand up and one person get down, and the whole room was there before that person, so they're looking at them like they're crazy. But after all those people leave the room and that person is standing up and sitting down every single time they hear this noise, new people come into the room and they start just following what that person is doing because they don't want to feel left out. A lot of people will follow something that's not even accurate because they don't want to get left out. The fear of missing out is greater than questioning something and going a different direction, and then going in a different direction. And there's something that I heard once. I don't remember where I heard it, but I think it's so powerful. And it said that, what was it? It said a leader, in order to conduct the orchestra, the leader must turn his back to the crowd. That's what it was. In order to conduct the orchestra, a leader must turn their back to the crowd. It's like when you know something's a scam and you feel a red flag, but you follow the crowd because they're all in, so you open your bag. You know, that's kind of like what I see, right? And so I said it before, right? Rockefeller was talking about it, right? I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. So the system was designed to make you follow and not question it. And I mean, John Maxwell, again, he said, you don't know what you don't know. But worse, you're sure about the things that aren't even true. Just like what I was talking about before. So you don't need a new course. You don't need a new program. You don't need a new life. You just need a new lens. Right? So I want to kind of go into the three, I would call them red flags, but the 3 steps, so the three things that you can pay attention to make sure that you could see through all of this smoke and mirrors when it comes to fake influencers. So number 1, they say what I was talking about earlier, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper, right? Is that they say, listen, I'm going to do this presentation, or I get you on this call, or we just have a conversation. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is this: I don't care if you buy this. I don't care if you buy. Because if I can disconnect myself from the outcome, then that's going to allow me to not be pushy, right? And I'm not going to have this commission breath, or I'm not going to, they teach this to salespeople, because if you can disconnect yourself from that energy, then you're much more relaxed, because you're like, hey, if they buy or they don't buy, it's perfectly okay with me. But let's be honest. Let's be honest. Do you want to talk to people and they don't buy? If you're a realtor and you're going to show a home and you tell somebody, hey, you know what? We're going to go look at 3 houses today, but I don't care if you buy. I mean, does that make sense? I mean, gas prices are crazy right now. Do you want to be a realtor telling somebody that I don't care if you buy, and really, do you mean it? Or would you probably be saying that because you don't want the person to feel like you're going to be a pushy salesperson? I don't care if you buy. Really? Then why are you in sales? Why are you in sales if you say, I don't care if you buy, but then have 100 follow-ups right afterwards? I've probably been in about, I don't know, maybe 40 different 5-day challenges, probably 100 master classes and presentations and webinars. And the goal of the webinar is to sell something at the end. The goal at the end of the challenge is to sell something at the end. Now, that sale may be anything, right? It may be an offer for a mastermind. It may be a one-on-one coaching session. It may be a product. It may not even be a service, right? It may be a product that somebody buys, a course or a program. It could mean anything. When I was doing dinner seminars, right? Well, I still do, but when I do dinner seminars, right? When I do financial retirement planning dinner seminars, I will have an offer at the end, which is just going to be a meeting with me. And I tell people, hey, it's a meeting for us to see if we like each other, see if we would want to work together, and then we can move forward, right? Now, I say that in a casual way, but I say that in a casual way because I want to make sure that they know that I'm not going to be pushy to try to sell them something right away. And I don't. But at the same token, I care if they buy. If I'm going to pay for my office space, if I'm going to pay for Ruth Chris for them to eat, if I'm going to pay, for tons of direct mail, for me to tell them I don't care if you meet with me, do you think that's ethical? Do you think that's my intention? Like for me to tell you that in the beginning. Hey, I don't care if you meet with me. I'm just here to go ahead and give you some information and go ahead and get a nice dinner. No, I do care if you meet with me because I'm paying for this. So I'm going to do everything in my power to get you to believe that what I have for you is going to put you in a better situation. Now, granted, I'm doing things with ethics. I'm held to a standard because I'm a financial planner, and I have to be able to make sure that I'm abiding by suitability laws and questionnaires and all sorts of things to make sure that what I'm doing is legal. But I'll get into that in a minute. But when people say that I don't care if you buy because this isn't for everyone, yeah, it's going to make somebody seem non-pushy, but it's going to make you feel special if you do buy. It's like if Eminem and Dr. Seuss made a rhyme about that. It's flying through my head right now. I would say, like, I don't care if you buy. That's the bait that they throw. Then they're in your inbox 20 times in a row. I don't care if you buy. That's the bait that they throw. Then they're all in your inbox 20 times in a row. Make that make sense. I don't care if you buy, but I'm going to follow up with you 50 times after the presentation is over. If you didn't care if they buy, then you wouldn't. Anyway, never mind. Okay. So, and then they say things like just checking in, thought about you, last chance, closing forever. Here's your final offer, right? So they use the persuasive communication at the end to follow up. I don't know. Once you see something, you can't unsee something. So what I want you to do is just become aware so you're making logical decisions, because people do make decisions when they're in their emotions and then they justify it with logic. Well, what if you were able to actually make logical decisions that didn't pull on your heartstrings and your emotions to make sure that you were making the right decision? I don't know. Does that make any sense to y'all? Anybody here in the chat with me? Drop some rockets in the chat if that makes any sense to y'all. If somebody tells you, I don't care if you buy, and then they follow up with you 500 times afterwards saying, last chance, it's closing forever. Here's your final offer. And they do like psychology emails, like 2:00 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? To know that if you're up and still thinking about the problem, then maybe you'll make an emotional decision and buy it. I'm just telling you, this is what people do, right? So when they do these types of things, it's a flag, because if like a green flag would be that they respect your decision and they follow up once, maybe twice, then they stop. But a red flag is like, I don't care if you buy, then endless follow-ups. That's a manipulation tactic. All right, cool. Y'all with me? All right, cool. Red flag number 2. They tell you to pull the money out from your retirement plan. I watched a wealth coach, right? I had the ability to actually work with a gentleman that made $1 million in a day. And our company was building out systems, helping with leadership communications on the back end, because a lot of influencers, they'll do a webinar, a challenge or something like that. They can make a whole bunch of money. But they really have poor systems because they're just focused on the transaction. Like they get an award for how much money they made. And it's really about how much money they made. Like there's really not much of a conversation of saying, how many people did you help? What are the results that those people got? And how can you do this again? Are you collecting data from the actual webinar so you can actually make improvements? So you're doing a SWOT analysis? Are you focused on your communication with your team and taking the money, reinvesting into the leadership, of your company? Maybe it isn't really focused on building a business, right? And a lot of these COVIDpreneurs and entrepreneurs, online people too, are really more focused on how much money they can make, and then they won. That was it. Like they won, and a lot of them don't focus on the fulfillment. And there was a gentleman that I worked with that he had poor fulfillment, brought me in to help with the experience, and we were running another challenge, right? And when he ran the 5-day challenge, at the end of the 5-day challenge, right, he had somebody that was interested in asking about financing, right, on purchasing this $50,000 program that he had. And he was teaching about real estate investing. He was teaching how to do a trust. He was teaching all these other things, right? But it was a $50,000 offer to work with him, right, in a group coaching format, and you got all these things, whatever. So he told the woman that, you know, if you really want to be an action taker, then you'll pull the money out of your retirement plan. You can pull the money out of a life insurance policy. You could pull the money out of your 401k. And the person asked them on the call, they were like, well, okay, I didn't know I can do that. I mean, is that safe to do? Because, like, I'm really close to retirement, and I want to make sure that, like, I'm doing the right thing for my family. And the gentleman that was presenting, he said, successful people invest in themselves. Stop focusing on the S&P 500 and start focusing on the S&Me 500. And your 401k isn't making you any money anyway. It's all a scam. I'm licensed, right? I'm licensed in the financial industry, like legally. So I have awareness that other people don't have. And just because somebody can tell you what to do doesn't mean that you're guiding you in the right direction. And he was not a licensed financial advisor. He didn't know their risk tolerance. He didn't understand their financial situation. He's not qualified to give that advice. Authority without qualification is manipulation with a microphone. But I watched them do it. That was the last time I worked with him. I couldn't take it anymore. We had a hard conversation after that. But I watched him do it. He got his $50,000. This is crazy, right? To me, it's crazy because we're probably talking about this through an ethical, logical lens, because we didn't spend 5 days with somebody that made us feel as if we invest into something, they're going to go ahead and change your life. But I will guarantee this. If you do join any of these challenges, webinars, masterclasses for people that are online, I'm not saying that they're all doing the wrong thing. I'm not telling you that. But I am going to give you the information to make sure that you're making the right decision for your family. Because one of the biggest takeaways that I learned in some of these rooms that, I invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into personal development. I got scammed out of a trucking investment also. Like there's a lot of money that I've invested into myself, not for me to sit back and be like, oh man, I made this mistake or that worked or didn't work. I'm here to take accountability and say, hey, you know what? I should have done my due diligence to make sure that I checked the fruit, not the follower count. And if that was me, right? Say it was me and somebody was asking if they could pull money out of the retirement account in that situation, right? I'd have to do a suitability analysis, right? I'd have to make sure how much money's at risk. I'd have to make sure how much money they're going to be paying in taxes when they pull that money out. I'd have to, find out exactly if a loan is going to be suitable to be paid back. I'd have to make sure that based on how old they are, do they have enough money that they're not going to run out? And I'm not doing something that's in my best interest. I'm doing something which is in their best interest. I'd ask them about their full financial picture. I'd assess the risk tolerance. I'd track the outcomes. I'd be legally accountable also. He's not licensed, and he definitely wasn't trained. But after seeing what I saw, that lady's money's about to be drained. And it's unfortunate. right? Because anybody that's telling you to pull from a retirement account who is not a licensed financial professional, run or get a second opinion. And if somebody says that, well, you got to do it right now, that's because they don't want you to think logical. That's because they don't want you to actually go get a second opinion with somebody that is licensed. They want to focus on the transaction, not becoming the transportation to your transformation. So ask them, are you licensed to give that advice? What's your license number? And if they dodge it or they say that, well, financial advisors don't know what they're doing, because that's something that I've seen too. I've seen people even say to people in these masterminds, hey, well, my attorney told me to do something different. And they say, well, attorneys don't know what they're doing. My doctor told me to do something different. Well, doctors don't know what they're doing. What? Do not listen to anybody that's telling you to pull money out of your investments if they're not somebody that manages investments. It's that plain and simple. And number 3, they make you feel bad for asking questions. This happened to me, right? When I invested into a trucking company and lost 50, 60,000, like a lot of money to me at the time. I $60,000, right? I asked a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions. That's just the type of person that I am, right? And I asked them, I said, can you show me people that have gotten results? So they went ahead and they showed me a list of a couple of people that had just purchased some of these trucks, and they ended up telling me that they started getting money back from these trucks. And I even saw a close friend of mine, a really close friend of mine, posted on social media. This is how it happened, right? A close friend of mine, he posted on social media, if anybody's looking to invest and get a great return on their money, this is a great thing to do. You should invest into this trucking company. So I called him. He said, man, it's been great for me. And I went ahead and since I trusted my friend, I followed the crowd. I had a conversation with the salesman on the phone, and I was asking him questions like, hey, I just want to know if this is guaranteed, or I asked a lot of questions. And he was like, well, the questions that you're asking right now, I mean, we can get the answers to them, but by the time we do that, like the pricing might go up because everything's on sale right now. And all the other people, they're getting results and they didn't have to ask all these questions. So it was almost like I was being talked to for me to feel bad because I was asking questions. I was asking like, what's included? What's the support? What happens if it doesn't work? And it's like when you ask somebody, hey, what happens if this doesn't work? They say, well, what happens if it does work? Instead of answering the actual question. Now, I understand you want to shift your mindset. I'm all about thinking, what if it works instead of what if it doesn't? Because that gives you the right energy to make it work. And if you do just constantly talk about something, what if it doesn't work, you're going to always look at things through a pessimistic lens. And I do believe we need to look at things through an optimistic lens. So we need to ask better questions like, what happens if it does work? But we need to also assess risk when we were making large investments. I don't think there's too many videos on the internet that are going to be giving this much value because I don't even think there's that many people that have experienced what I've experienced. I've been able to, be around some of the best salespeople in the world and then also saw their company and then also have made a lot of mistakes. And I'm transparent. I don't have an ego. Like I would rather share this information knowing that I may not be here next Wednesday, right? And my kids get this information to make sure that everything is good. I mean, I got teenage daughters. This video is for them. You just get to be here and get this value too. But the person, John Maxwell says that the person that asks questions gets smarter and the person that doesn't gets scammed. A lot of the responses that would come to me, I remember in that conversations were like, man, if you have to ask these type of questions, you're not ready. And, you're not an action taker, and action takers are money makers. Again, an emotional thing. Let me apply more pressure to making a decision right now. See, overcoming objections in sales is sometimes unethical also, because if you're really good at it, you have to ask yourself, am I getting somebody to do something that's for my good or for their good? And a lot of people that are really good at communication, they will tell you that, hey, listen, I'm only doing what's best for you. And if you believe them, then, I mean, what people say and what people do are not always the same thing. And when people say things like successful people don't ask that many questions, you just got to take action to figure it out later. I mean, yes, you have to take action and figure it out later, but you have to do it with the right amount of information necessary for you to make a right decision. You don't just go ahead and just jump off a cliff. Like they say the whole thing, there's that line in entrepreneurship that people use all the time. It's like, I'm going to jump out of the plane and build the parachute on the way down. I'm going to jump out of the plane and build the parachute on the way down. I'm going to build the parachute on the way down. Yeah, that sounds cool. But does it? Really, though? Does it really sound cool? Y'all with me in the chat? Jump out of the plane and build the parachute on the way down. That's what you need to do. That sounds smart. But I get it. When you're in business, you do have to make decisions and take action fast. Success loves speed. The faster you make a decision, the faster you're on to the next decision. So if you ask a question and they make you feel small, that's not a leader. That's how the con artists ball. That's a con artist call. The green flag is they answer questions clearly. They encourage you enough to think through it. No pressure. They're transparent. They show you the fruit, right? They're going to say, hey, you know what? Let me go ahead and give you the phone number of somebody that has had results. We've had 10,000 people come through this program, and we've had 9,000 people get results, not 9. Why is it that these coaches and consultants on their websites, they show that they've helped 100,000 people, but they got 6 testimonials? I mean, that's a good question, right? Check the fruit. Matthew 7:16. Check the fruit. You will know them by their fruit, is what the scripture says. Not their follower count, not their revenue posts, their fruit. Their fruit. I mean, look at ChatGPT right now. They just had an update, right, to version 2.0 on their images. That's how I made my thumbnail today, right? I made my thumbnail using ChatGPT today, right? And basically, anything could be created with that. I could literally have it create a picture of somebody that says they look like they got results. And then I can go to something like Seed Dance and be able to have that image talk about results. I mean, we live in such an era where people spend more time trying to manipulate you than they do of just doing the work. So what could you check, right? What are some of the questions that you could ask somebody? I want to give you that, right? I want to give you the questions that you can ask people to make sure that you're getting yourself into something ethical with a real leader, in a real company, in a real business. Question number 1, can you show me 5 clients who got specific results? Real people that I can talk to. Not testimonials, but actual verifiable outcomes. Also, what is your completion rate? How many people finish this program versus how many people buy? Because one of the things they teach you in sales, right, in persuasive sales, high-level sales, high-ticket sales, right? I mean, I've sold packages for, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000. I mean, I've sold packages to people, right? And the reason I say that is because I've learned that there's a strategy and a way around navigating through the person's mind to get them to not focus on the product, but to focus on the end result that the person's going to get, right? And then how they're going to feel when they're in that end result. And I created a framework called the BFF method, how to turn strangers into BFFs, best friends forever, using a framework, right, on when it comes to sales. So I do have leaders that I coach, and there are some of them that I am helping with sales if they're doing it with integrity. But the real question is how many people finished the program versus how many people bought. You need to know the completion rate. Like, what is the completion rate of the people that actually are involved in what it is that you're wanting to get involved in? And then here's the one where you see a lot of tension. Here's the one where you see a lot of tension. You could almost define you could almost see the difference with this one question. You can almost see the difference between a real leader and a fake influencer by how they answer this question. What happens when someone doesn't get results? Some people will just say, well, I gave you everything you needed to do. You just didn't take action. Or they might say, well, we have a money-back guarantee. A lot of people that sell courses and programs and digital products now, which is a huge profit margin for online entrepreneurs that you see all over the internet, they don't have a refund. Policy, because once you have the product, it's done. But I do know some people that do. They'll say, hey, if you got the product and you still didn't get results, then you get your money back. But you could see the difference between somebody that's really ethical or unethical, that's focused on the transaction or the transformation, by the way that they answer that question. What happens when someone doesn't get results? What happens when somebody buys this product and it doesn't do what you said it would do? Do you always blame the person? Or do you take accountability like a real leader? We all have some sort of accountability and responsibility when it comes to people that don't get results. You can't just say, oh, information on me, execution on you. Information on me, application on you. Information on me, you didn't take action. That's what you see a lot of these people say. Well, the people that didn't get results didn't take action. But let me ask you something, right? Did the person that you sold something to, were they qualified to purchase what you sold them? Now, I'm speaking to the business owner, but this video is more or less just trying to help you see through all that. But, when it comes to business owners, ask yourself that question, because there's a lot of unethical business owners that the moment that somebody has a complaint about their business, they start talking about spiritual warfare. They start talking about how, oh, man, the devil's trying to take me down. That's not demonic. That's poor customer service. And then question number 4, do you practice what you preach? Or did you just buy a program to sell a program? What do I mean by that? That some people will say, hey, listen, in order for you to make money online, use AI to make money, right? What I'm going to teach you to do is exactly what I just did to you. Now, Russell Brunson teaches this in Expert Secrets. He teaches you that you make more money teaching what you do than doing what you do. But a lot of people took it to the next level and said, well, if I can learn something really fast and then I can teach it, then I can tell other people to teach it also. So now we're just people that just came up with something or just learned something, and I packaged something and I sold it to someone that just learned something and just packaged something to sell to someone. And then it just keeps going and going and going and going. So when you have the head of all of the unethical programs selling things, then you have the next person buying into that, because it was all about money. It was all about how much money you're going to make. And then they justify, like when somebody asks if it's unethical or whatever the case is, they have this long list of justification, especially when they pull out the Bible to justify their greed. It's tremendous when people do that as well. You have to be very careful when it comes to that as well. But that red flag would be that people are constantly posting about the things that they own, the cars that they own, the vacations that they're on, the money that they spend, the gold, the jewelry, the homes, when they're posting about what they have, not what they got for their clients. They're posting about their revenue, not their clients' results. They can't show completion rates. They block people who ask for help. They don't practice what they preach. But a green flag would be somebody that shows clients wins, names, faces, outcomes, real people. Tracks transformation, not just transactions. And they take accountability also. I've worked with online influencers that when there was a problem, they actually ended up giving me the course and the program for free. When I only paid half of it, they told me not to pay the other half. And then I've had other people that told me, there's nothing that we could do. And it's not like I just bought a couple of programs here and had some problems. Multiple six figures in personal and business development. Only had a couple of problems, but that was enough problems for me to realize that I don't need to do that anymore. Because I'm not going to continue to run around thinking that somebody else is going to be in charge of my transformation when it's truly just going to be on me and my accountability. So hopefully this video is adding some value to you guys today. The last thing that I want to say is the most important thing, and I talked about it in the last video, but I'm going to bring it up one more time, is Christian influencers that use the Bible to sell. I mentioned this in the last video. I'm going to mention it again, is that when I was in a mastermind and somebody said that the biggest takeaway that they had was basically in this mastermind, they said the biggest takeaway that they had was if you use the Bible in your communication, people will buy more from you. If you use biblical scriptures and verses in your webinar, your conversion rates will go up. And in that moment, I was like, oh, that's cool. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, so people are actually using that as a strategy? So you mean like somebody is a business owner, but if they use the word Christian in front of it, they'll actually make more money? Like it's part of a marketing campaign? Like, so if I just go ahead and say, you know what? This program that I have for you is going to change your life. It's going to renew your mind. It's kind of like Romans 12:2. Don't be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Like if I use that inside of my pitch, it's going to make people buy more. How ethical is that? Shouldn't we be leveraging the Bible to bring people to Jesus? I don't think we should be leveraging the Bible to get people to buy our offer. You know what's crazy is people will see this happen, but never even question it. Just like the story I said in the beginning of this video. Look at your life, though. Look at your life, though, and ask yourself, are these people making my life better? Or do I just feel better when I'm around them because they know how to persuade me to be around them? Do they care about me? Or do they just care about the money that I spend? I mean, these people, they quote scripture in their sales posts and presentations all day, every day. They use biblical language to increase their conversions because they know it's going to make them more money. And when you question them about it, they say that's spiritual warfare instead of actually taking accountability like it says all throughout the Bible. And when the program fails, they say execution on you, information on me. What's crazy is they quote the Bible to make the sale. But in James 3:1, it says the people that leverage the Bible as leaders are going to be judged on a different scale. It's not up to me to judge them. It's just up to me to take accountability, to ask myself, how much longer do I want to continue to be in the circus? Because James 3:1 does say teachers will be judged more strictly. So as you listen to these people and you are the person that's saying, you know what, I'm learning how to leverage the Bible more in the things that I'm talking about, why are you doing it? It's like my boy DJ D-Dub. I mean, he's a DJ, and he plays, Christian music all the time, and and he's starting to build a following on TikTok, has a community and stuff like that. And we talk about it all the time. Like, we create the hook to bring them to the book. It's not a place to where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to use the biblical scriptures to then open up your mind to become more in tune to purchasing something from me. So if I know the Bible more, that I'm going to make more money. You probably just become like, I don't want to go any deeper with that. But what did I do wrong, right? What did I do wrong? I got scammed by a trucking company, right? I saw a big following that, a lot of people were doing this also. Everybody was talking about it. A really good friend of mine posted on Facebook. I went ahead and called him. They told me, hey man, it's on sale right now. By the time I get you all the extra information for you to go ahead and see that this is going to be, what you think it is, then it's going to be more expensive. They pressured me and they made me feel like in the beginning of the conversation, they didn't care if I invested at all. They said, hey, man, it's going to be on you. You'll know if you want to do it. But the moment then when we got to the offer, then it was like, hey, listen, you got to do it now or else it's going to be more money. So they lied to me by saying they didn't care if I bought or not or invested it or not. It's on me and my family. But then when it came down to it, they continued to follow up on me with me and just were very, very adamant. They were very, very adamant on following up. Did my mic go out? That's crazy. So what happened? I ended up investing, $60,000, ended up making like $7,500 back, and the rest was gone. And there was probably tens of millions of dollars, according to all sorts of other people. And there was a lot of people that took, I'm talking $1 million out of the retirement plan to invest into something that would give them passive income. And, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Right. So that's why I'm sharing this information. Like, do your due diligence. It's not about the follower count. It's about the fruit. The second thing was the high ticket coaches, right? The high ticket consultants, they got really big names, big followings. I assume they knew what they were doing. They were teaching out of the Bible. So I never really asked because I thought it was the truth. Right. And I bought the programs, but in the programs, they just taught me how to sell the programs. And they really didn't do what they taught. No real business, just really solopreneurs, just doing everything they can to generate more revenue and give their team the least amount of money possible to keep them on board. I didn't ask about the completion rates. I didn't ask about the client transformation data. I was sold a process that they never really executed on outside of just selling what they sold. Like, their success was selling what they sold me. Like, be careful of that. If you see somebody that's like, hey, I have a program that I'm going to sell, but the only time they made money was selling the program to you. I paid the price, but I learned in time, even though they sold me a ladder that I never climbed. And then going back to the last one, in the challenge where I saw somebody telling somebody to pull money out of their 401k. The person was very uncomfortable, but they complied to it because he was talking from the Bible. The gentleman was not licensed, and he did tell them, hey, listen, if you're going to be an action taker, you need to take action now. But remember, authority without qualification is manipulation. So if you're not doing things with integrity, meaning if you're putting in somebody in the position that they should be in, then maybe you shouldn't be charging them anymore. Fire them as a client too. Like, get rid of somebody as a client, as a business owner now, right? Like, get rid of the people that aren't qualified. If they're not getting the results, like, don't just take their money if you can't take them anywhere else because their mindset doesn't want it. A lot of people talk about skill set. They talk about tool set. They talk about mindset. But there's another set that I talk about that nobody does, and that's will set. If you're not willing, then the mindset doesn't matter. The skill set doesn't matter. The tool set doesn't matter because you have to be willing to do the work. You don't need a new course. You don't need a new program. You don't need a new life. You just need a new lens. So hopefully this added some at its, I'll tell you this, step away from the noise for a minute too. Give yourself like a detox from the internet, from your phone, from social media for a little while. Give yourself a day or two of nothing to just kind of get back to yourself, to find out exactly what success means to you. Because a lot of people are going to define success because you see that they have things that you don't. But it all comes back to gratitude. Because if you're not grateful for where you currently are and what you currently have, then you'll never be grateful for what you think that you're going to have when you get there. So stop focusing on the one thing that you don't have, that you see other people have, and start focusing on all the things that you do. It's called the gratitude lens. Zoom out. Zoom out and take a look at your life right now. I guarantee that your life right now, you have 3 to 5 things right now that you could write down that you're so grateful for that you're probably taking advantage of in this very moment. And the things that you have that are the blessings in your life, that are blessings in your life, the things that you have that are blessings in your life, they're still there even though you're not giving them attention. But they may not be there for long if you don't start giving them attention. So get away from what everybody has and start focusing on what you have. Make sure that you do your due diligence to find out if people are really who they say they are. I gave you 3 major steps in many different ways today to help you get there. I just pray that you guide your family in the right direction. And even if that takes a little self-reflection, because momentum means nothing if you're going in the wrong direction. Yeah. So one last time, I'll go through the 2026 guide to not getting scammed. Red flag number 1, I don't care if you buy. And then endless follow-ups and manipulation, 2 a.m. emails. But they didn't care, right? Why are they following up so hard? Red flag number 2, telling you to pull from your retirement plan without a license. It's unethical. It should be illegal. They're telling you to do something with your money when they're not somebody that actually manages money. Red flag number 3, they make you feel bad for asking questions. They're a con artist. The moment that you ask to see some results or see the fruit, then they say, well, real action takers don't need to see any of that. Well, okay. What? Red flag number 4, there is no fruit. You've looked and even though they answered that question, then you realize that there was no fruit and they were all talk. They shouldn't be charging you these crazy prices just because they can if they're not fulfilling anything on the other side. And then red flag number 5, they're using the Bible to sell but not serve. It's a false shepherd. So check the fruit, ask the questions, see through the show. The red flags will reveal what you need to know. Come on now. Let's go. So do what you got to do, man. Don't trust the hype. Don't trust the crowd. Check the fruit. Don't follow the crowd just because it's a crowd. Because you can be like those caterpillars going across the top. And just because, everybody's going in a certain direction doesn't mean they're going the right way. I'm telling you now. Think about Jesus. He was doing the opposite of what everybody else was doing. So if you start doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing and people look at you as if you're doing something wrong, maybe you are doing something wrong to the world. But what's a person to gain everything of this world but sell his soul in the process? Let's go. I love it. He said, not demonic, just poor customer service. Facts. I mean, take accountability and responsibility, man. So hopefully you guys got some value from this video. If you follow the steps in here, then you will protect yourself. You will be able to protect your family, just like it says in the Bible that you need to protect your family. Right? And follow those types of scriptures, not the scriptures that force you to take action for the benefit of the person that's talking. Don't focus on the messenger. Stop idolizing the messenger and start studying the message. If they start preaching out of the scriptures, then go to the scripture and see if it's in alignment with your assignment. This has been another weekly live perspective pause. And I'll see you guys next week. All I ask from you now is to subscribe to the channel, share this with somebody. Like really, like share this video with somebody, because there's somebody out there that really needs to see this. Make sure that you make the right decisions for you and your family in 2026. And remember, take ownership, take action, take off.